All right, this weekend, the Boston mayor epitomized exactly what is wrong with the woke left when it comes to crime. Now, on Saturday night, a man with a knife chased two individuals in a crowded Chick-fil-A in Boston and was fatally shot by an off-duty police officer who was witnessing the incident. According to the police commissioner, the officer identified himself, told the suspect to drop the weapon. When the suspect did not comply, the officer discharged that weapon to stop the threat. But when it was time for the Boston mayor, Michelle Wu, to speak, she expressed sympathy for the knife-wielding suspect, but not the two individuals who were nearly stabbed. Take a look.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost. And I'm also thinking of all the people who were impacted here today in one of the busier parts of the city with this tragedy.
Then when asked about the backlash following her statement, Mayor Wu actually doubled down on stupid. Take a look.
You know, it's unfortunate to politicize being at the scene of a tragic incident. Our officers are in extremely difficult and dangerous situations every single day, keeping our residents safe. And I express condolences along with our police commissioner and district attorney, because every loss of life is a horrible tragedy.
Now, despite this incident, President Trump is making major headway on crime all across the country. According to a report from the New York Times, Trump's tariff threats on Mexico is now forcing the Mexican government to crack down on organized crime, forcing cartels to shut down fentanyl production, and they are going into hiding. Meanwhile, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi continues investigating the Epstein files and attempting to get a hold of the files that were never handed over from the FBI Bureau in New York. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, joins us now live on site. It's great to see you.
Great to see you.
Are you drowning yet? How many weeks in?
Just a few.
Just a few. Let me start with the Epstein case, because there was an expectation that this was going to be bigger. You had the same expectation.
We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept. Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m. Thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Cash is going to, Director Patel is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay, I want to be clear, because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more. You were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that there were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over, and then you found out just before that.
Well, sure. And you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what the FBI had turned over to us. And so a source said, whoa, all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York. Yep. So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Cash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. And, you know, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims.
Well, you had identified in phase one over 254.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that you get in your possession?
Yeah, the FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received Friday. Yeah. But Cash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. You know, sadly, these people don't believe in transparency, but I think more, unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. And it's a new day. It's a new administration. and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
And that goes the same with the JFK files,
JFK,
RFK files,
Martin
MLK?
Luther King. Yep, absolutely.
What are the things that, and maybe some people don't understand the need to redact. In the case of a victim, that should be pretty obvious to people. What are the other things that maybe you'd have to redact?
Well,
national security?
No, of course, national security, some grand jury information, which is always going to be confidential. But we'll see. Let's look through them as fast as we can, get it out to the American people, because the American people have a right to know, not only on that, but on Kennedy, on Martin Luther King, on all of these cases that the Biden administration has just sat on for all these years. So yeah, it's really. It's not sad, it's infuriating that these people thought that they could sit on this information, but they can't. It's a new day, and we believe in transparency, and it's going to come out. And when we redact things, Sean, what we're going to do is not just pull pages out like they used to do. If something's redacted, you will know the line, and you will know why it's redacted, like a victim's name, identifying information of a victim.
Let's talk a little bit about the DOJ prior to your arrival. I believe it was weaponized. Oh. How do we prevent that from ever happening again? I believe that once the FBI was the world's premier law enforcement agency, and that was weaponized and politicized. I believe the same with our intel community. How do we restore these institutions to their former greatness?
Well, first and foremost, we got rid of the Jack Smith team. Gone. Yeah. Those people are gone. We're still trying to find out. There are a lot of people in the FBI and also in the Department of Justice who despise Donald Trump, despise us, don't want to be there. We will find them because you have to believe in transparency. You have to believe in honesty. You have to do the right thing. And right now, we're going to root them out. We will find them, and they will no longer be employed. But again, we're starting at every level of the Justice Department, Sean, and getting rid of the worst of the worst. But there are a lot more people that shouldn't be there. But there are a lot of good people who are out there now risking their lives every day making these cases. You know, today we made a huge case involving a Guatemalan, an illegal from Guatemala, one of the largest human trafficking rings in the country. 20,000 people being smuggled into this country from Guatemala. That arrest was made in California. Last week, an illegal was arrested in New York for ISIS, funding ISIS. It's constant. We are going to get out there. We're going to arrest the bad people, take them off the streets, and restore the Justice Department to what it was made to do, fight violent crime.
Were you, or are you up to this point, I know it's very early in your tenure.
A few weeks.
Are you at all shocked at how things were running before you got there?
Shocked. Yeah.
Shocked.
Never thought. Cash and I, Patel, talk about this all the time. You know, we knew it was bad. We never knew how bad. And especially work on the criminal side and on the people who are in there. Well, you've heard the story, of course. I went up, I was visiting the floors. I walk up to the 7th floor of the National Security, and I couldn't get in there because it's a skiff. Well, that's how it was secure. Yeah. But my detail managed to get me in there. They still had a picture of Joe Biden on the wall and Kamala Harris. That's how bad it was. So I, personally, took those off the wall. But that's the tip of the iceberg.
What about when you talk about people in the DOJ that have an awful lot of power, and maybe what they did to Donald Trump is unprecedented. Evaluation of Mar-a-Lago, the double standard with the rate of Mar-a-Lago, the FISA abuse, Russia lie, a dirty misinformation dossier signed 3 times by a former FBI head, in that case, James Comey. Are these all on the table to get to the bottom of over time?
Everything's on the table, Sean. We're going to look at everything. And as I said, the Jack Smith team, gone. That was low-hanging fruit, really. Right. Get rid of them. Get rid of the people that raided the president's home at Mar-a-Lago.
Will we look into what they did?
Everything's being looked into. Yeah. Everything. And right now, we are hiring great lawyers, great people around us who we can trust. Right now, the numbers are very small. But now that we have cash in, it's made it a lot easier at the FBI. But he's dealing with what we're dealing. You know, the great men and women of DEA, ATF, the U.S. Marshals. we're all working together to fight violent crime. And it's a shame that a few people have given them such a bad name, as well as the Department of Justice.
It sounds daunting. It sounds like a massive list. It doesn't sound like you're going to be sleeping a lot in the next 4 years.
None of us will, but it's worth it. It's worth it to fight for the American people and to keep America safe.
Amen. Pam, thank you for coming in. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.